He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, we are back live, Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna and Mike Haywood on 1340 AM, and will be rebroadcasted soon on Guerrilla Media Network in the afternoon all over the world. Also, you can reach us at lovegunsfreedom.com, and you can find all the different shows, all the archives. They're free access. You can get all the different shows we had, and of course, you can listen again of today's show, you know, and we have the first hour councilman, Bull City Councilman Sam Medrano for the operational airing your dirty laundry on the air with Luca. And very important, I think it was a very good show. We had a lot of, we gave the opportunity to the listeners and to everybody was challenging the integrity of Mr. Medrano to pretty much bring facts. And I'm glad the man came, and we went through some speeding violation or whatever, and we move on. And right now, at that point, the voters will decide. Now, we have a great guest, the second hour. It's a friend, and more important, is a political, I don't want to call activist. I think it's a person that is involved. That's the way I look at that. He's also a movie producer, he's a director, and he also right now is launching a new project. He's becoming some sort of a record label. So much that Mr. Paul Wittenberger is with me. Let me put it on the air right now. Let's see. Here we go. Hey, Paul, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Luca. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, thank you for coming. I know you're a busy guy. You were just in Texas just a few hours ago, and now you're back to your home state, California, correct?
Yeah, thank God I'm back. It was a great week, though. We spent the entire last week going around Texas interviewing a bunch of great people for our new film.
And you have any idea of the name of the new project or what it's about?
Well, we're shooting the second of the Great Culling, the second part of the Great Culling.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure yet if we're going to name it that or we're going to name it a totally different name. That's still to be determined.
Perfect. But, and let's remind the listeners, first of all, a little bit about you, because, you know, you're a young man, but you're very active. I know you're really prolific also. You've been doing a lot of production just the last couple of years since we met. We met probably about, what, 3 years ago, you think?
Yeah, it was about that when we were making the Great Culling Our Water film.
Yes, so let's talk a little bit. First of all, Paul Wittenberger, as a human being, as a person, you know, as an American, as also as a person that, you know, a young man and wanted to try to do something out of your life. You pick the road, you know, you choose this career that is kind of challenging because, you know, it's not exactly easy. You are a movie producer, documentary producers. You are also an artist in some way because you put things also in an artistic way, in my opinion. And more important, also, you try to send a message. What is your background? How did you start to get involved, first of all, into this multimedia production world? How did you do that? Why did you do that?
Well, I went to film school about 10 years ago and wanted to be just like a Hollywood director, and then realized once I moved to Hollywood that it's not what I wanted to do at all. And in fact, what interests me is to make documentaries about topics that actually matter instead of brainwashing the population about stuff that didn't matter, to actually try to do something that will make a change in this world, I think, is more important. So that's kind of where I got started in all this.
Perfect. And I you know, the reason why you started to go to this direction means that you had an awakening somewhere, somehow. And, you know, every one of us, you know, I remember my first awakening. Of course, it's just the first step because it's the process of learning. and learning what's going on about all this evil, it never ends. But for sure, you had a moment that maybe in your life you say, something's wrong. I understand now things that I never even could imagine before. When exactly, if you can focalize, when was your awakening? There's any specific fact or any episode, maybe somebody that helped you out to reach this new level of knowledge?
Well, I would have to say when I first started becoming aware of any of this, because I grew up in Africa, and then when I moved here, my grandpa played an instrumental role in my life, and he actually showed me the Clinton Chronicles and the Waco movie when I was young, back in like '95 or something like that, and those two movies right there was really my first introduction to this whole conspiracy world topics. And after watching those films, I've really just been on a mission to figure out the truth about what's happening in our world.
So anyway, from there, of course, you started to everything. It's like awakening. You start to see the first level of knowledge, and then you realize it's like going to the rabbit hole, and it's almost endless. This is kind of at least what happened to me. So age-wise, when how old you were when you started to really say maybe there is something that we don't know, something different than what we've been told? You were very young, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's about 20 years ago. So I'm 31 right now.
Wow.
So I was real young when I first. I mean, obviously, I didn't understand the level to the deception that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But after 9/11, I think that just became clear to everyone that there is a hidden hand behind the scenes that does control the world, and we need to wake up the brainwashed masses in any way we can. And I just feel like film is the way to do it in this generation.
I agree. And that's why I believe everybody has some talents, and for example, I really like the fact that you put your art and your experience and also your education, because that's what you did. You went to school to become a movie maker, and the purpose now, we try to reach our fellow men, the fellow human being, fellow Americans, to wake them up. Because we are in danger. We're all in danger, regardless of the nationality. We're all in danger as a free human beings. We are really coming to a point, in my opinion, that we got to do right now whatever we can. And you do with your movies. I try to do with my music, or even just to be here in this radio show, try to reach my community here. And that's all we can do now. And I think if everybody would do something, and people say, I don't have talent. Say, yes, you do, because you can talk, you can speak to friends, you can go to bars. And I mean, everybody has a different way to reach somebody else, even sometimes starting from your family members, That's, I think, it's our duty. And I'm so pleased that I know you, and we met together for almost accident. I think we met, first of all, for this documentary. There was The Great Calling, and somehow, I don't know how you found out about me, and I was so pleased to be with you, at least even for a few minutes, your documentary, and be part of this history of the humanity that we were here, try to warn our fellow humans, and more important, try to do everything we could to stand against evil, because this is evil at the end of the day.
I mean, these people aren't like you and I. They actually have an agenda to depopulate the world, and it sounds crazy when you first hear about it, but it's truth. Let's talk about these people.
When you say these people, first of all, let's connect to the movie that you did, The Great Calling. By the way, I invite everybody to go to your website. It's framingtheworld.com. It's a great website where you can go through all the different products and documentaries, also something that you didn't create yourself, but you're reselling, to show the level of information that you can share. The Great Calling, this documentary, let's talk a little bit about what it's about, when you created it, and more important, who are these people behind this agenda, in your opinion?
Well, a lot of people say that it's the money, and the money is the root of all evil. I agree, but it's more than money, because this agenda seems to, go through generations, different generations. It gets worse and worse. It's a slow brainwashing of society that's happening. So I believe that this documentary, The Great Calling, is focusing on the effects of our food, water, and air, and how they affect us neurologically. The first part was focus more on the fluoride in our water, and the next two will focus on the food, water, the food, air, and vaccines, and just how the overall agenda behind it that is poisoning us.
Yes, and this, by the way, for people that are new listeners and they think it's just some sort of a conspiracy, look out there. There are documents, there are people with faces, and there are big names out there. For example, if we talk about one of these globalists like Bill Gates. Bill Gates is on record that we must depopulate this world. They are creating vaccines. United Nations now is proven that they've been going around different countries like Africa, and most of the vaccines they were creating, they were giving sort of sterilization to people. It's in their books. So, and this didn't happen just today, as you said. It wasn't just about some political crazy person with some money behind. No, this is unfortunately is like generational things. There is a plan. It's documented by facts. Books that be made, Britain, movies that be made. And let's not forget they are now also on the open, starting from Bush father, but not forget just a few days ago there was a big speech of Mr. Obama and also Vice President Biden talking about these three magic words, New World Order. These are directly from the mouth of the man who's supposed to represent this country. Mr. Obama saying that we must give up our individual sovereignty rights to create this new order. And the New World Order is specified, really spelled out by Bush father, I don't know, many times. And so Biden, just a few days ago, at this inauguration of this graduation of the Air Force young people. Now they are concerned about not anymore hiding it. They want to impose it and try to brainwash us that this is the new order we're supposed to follow. I think we are in a new stage of this control. It is no more hiding. This is now on the open, and whoever opposes this global government, we are labeled like potential enemies. What do you think?
Yeah, you put that very clearly. And in fact, when you're talking about Bill Gates, in one of his TED conferences, he even said the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to 9 billion. Now, if we do a really good job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 to 15%. So these people actually want to use vaccines and healthcare and stuff to lower the population. This is not a conspiracy. They do talk about the New World Order. That speech by our vice president is not the first speech he's given. He's talked about the New World Order. Just like you said, presidents talk about the New World Order because it's their plan. They do want to create a global government.
Exactly. And let's not forget, presidents, I don't care which party, let's not get trapped in the partisanship, because sometimes I'm so sad, I remember when it was Bush, I was one of the first Republicans to wake up, at least in this community here, and say, this guy is just another puppet for the globalist, and what he's doing is wrong. And of course, addressing different things like the Patriot Act. Oh, if you don't like the Patriot Act, you must be a terrorist. So all these things that were part of this plan they created. And I was the first one. Now I see my fellow American Republicans, the Democrats, many of them, I don't say everybody, still trapped in this sort of a game, like, I'm the good one, you're the bad one, and they defend their man, when instead, these people, no matter which party, every president, and by the way, is appointed at the end of the day, the election is almost a game, is a show, they're following exactly the same agenda created by the president administration and put it on steroids. Let's not forget, let's say people were criticizing justly Mr. Bush, President Bush, for going to unconstitutional wars, because we remember the last war we had was World War II. After that, we were just going on the United Nations completely unconstitutional police force action. And then, okay, we criticize Bush against these phony wars, and then look, Obama is continuing the phony wars, is increasing wars, Syria, Libya, we have now Africa, we drones the crap out of all the Middle East, and innocent people die without no judge, no trial. And the Patriot Act now is transformed itself, thanks to Obama and the Congress, of course, to the National Defense Authorization Act. And people are still supporting their guy. That's what scares me the most. It's not Mr. Obama, but the people brainwashed to be divided, and more important, to don't follow anymore the logic, but follow the emotions. So that's really very scary, because this is exactly what happened in situation like in many countries like Germany during Hitler, people lost their mind and started to follow an illusion. That's what I believe it's happening right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, these political parties are shows. They're puppets. I mean, the president doesn't get paid that much money. I mean, why does he spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in a year just to get elected? And who gives those millions of dollars a year?
Exactly.
These people are controlled by hidden hands. Like a lot of people think that Bill Gates is the richest person in the world, or like one of the richest, but he's not.
Exactly.
There is people that literally have, like, control most of the world's wealth. I mean, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and people like this, they are the ones that control the world. They are the ones that get all these politicians elected. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. They're the same party.
Exactly. Exactly,
You
Paul.
know?
And let's not forget, something I've been talking about several times. It's very important. Unfortunately, we need to really go deeper in that. It's called private central bank. Now, every country, almost every country in the world, has a private central bank. What means? Like, for example, let's specify in America. Since 1913, there is this monster called Federal Reserve. We know very well the Federal Reserve is as federal as the Federal Express. It's private. It's a private corporation, yes, federalized, and pretty much what happened, the government got bought out, President Wilson got bought out, a couple of members of Congress in the middle of the Christmas night, when the Congress was pretty much all home for the recess, stole the sovereign right of this country to print our own money. So now what happened, this monster bank, the Federal Reserve, have the power, unlimited power, to regulate and create currency out of thin air. That means no more even backed by gold or anything. So these people, they're private people. They're like rich people, but they have this power to borrow us money, to loan us money, and we have to pay back with interest. So they control the government. This didn't happen just in America. In Europe, was there since the ages, since the Middle Ages. Like you were talking about the Rothschild, they've been in control of the most central banks in Italy, in Europe, in general, in England. And then exactly the people that behind the scenes control governments and create these agendas, if you want to start to give them names to these people, the global elite, mostly the international private bankers. They have so much money because they can create money out of thin air. There is no way you can compete with them. And they can buy out presidents and government like you go to the shop and we can buy an apple, me and you.
I mean, exactly. If you go to, like, this USA debt clock,
Yes.
you can see the debt clock just rising and rising and rising. It's somewhere like at $17 trillion or something like that, like an unbelievable amount. But think about it. Why do we even have debt? If we are a free country, why aren't we just printing our own money? Why would we even have debt on that money?
Exactly.
Because we're borrowing our money and putting our people into slavery.
Exactly.
I mean, this money will never be paid back. It's a serious issue, but no one will talk about it.
Exactly. And this is, for me, the most important thing. When I talk with people that normally we may have difference of opinion in politics or in economics, let's say, I don't even want to label left or right, just differences. I say, guys, we need to learn first the most important thing. We have a cancer in this country that is enslaving us, all of us. We don't have to go to a private bank to beg for money and get our work as a collateral, our bodies as collateral, and pay back phony money that they don't even need any print anymore. It's just digital with our real labor. Because the income tax, all really does, has been proven by several investigations, congressional investigations, like under also Reagan, all it does really, it pay the interest on the debt. If you really want to give this money away for social services, I think it's wrong. But still, let's say you want to go there, we don't need to ask and borrow money from China or from a private Federal Reserve. Let's print our own money. At least we don't need to pay the interest on that,
Yeah.
But one second, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
How you doing, Paul?
Hi, how's it going, Mike?
You mentioned earlier that when you got to Hollywood, you decided you didn't want to be a director. Is that because it's so difficult to make movies to speak truth to power, and they're so controlled by the left that it makes it impossible to do to make the kind of films you want to make?
Well, when I realized that, like, for instance, when you're doing a movie, and I did lighting for years, there's always this group of people huddled around a monitor. And the director is not anybody in Hollywood. Like, the director is there for if the movie fails, they can blame the director. But the director has really very little to say about the whole movie in general. The person behind all the decisions is the people that pay for the movie. And they're huddled, they send their guys, and they watch from a monitor, and if the director runs a show, but if there's anything that those people on the monitor want to change, they just walk up, the director yells cut, the guy walks up, taps the guy on the shoulder, and goes, hey, let's do it this way. And then the director's like, okay, let's try that again, guys. Because really, Hollywood is brainwashing the world. And so if they're not selling you a product, they're selling you a lifestyle.
So it's the executive producers that are calling the shots.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's the people that pay for it.
Yes.
And everyone else are just hired guns to blame it on when it all goes bad. And you're not going to get a movie in Hollywood done about topics that matter. Those movies don't get made.
Oh, there are different... Go ahead, Paul. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's all a show. It's a sham. They are trying to sell you a product or a lifestyle. Everything you watch. And think about it. I don't make much money, but every dime that I make, I try to push my views on people. I try to push my agenda on people, what I believe. I mean, I'm not scared to say I try to brainwash people into what I believe. And that's exactly what they're doing, but they have literally trillions and trillions of dollars to do it. And they are doing it. All these big new Hollywood films, they're all doing the same thing. They make an entire movie just for one scene.
Paul, if I can if I can interact, I watch all your documentaries, by the way, and I really like them. The way I look at you, you don't try to brainwash people the way you think about it. I think what you do, you try to give the people the opportunity to think with their own brain, and more important, to give them facts that normally they're hidden by the control that we were talking about. I don't look at you like you try to brainwash anybody. When I look at you, you're trying to give facts that normally they're hidden by the control system. And by the way, Hollywood, according to my research, is another way like the television was created. It wasn't created to entertain. It was created to control the masses. It's like a mean of propaganda. And the CIA has a lot to do, like the cable TVs. We know very well that it's all controlled by part of the government, because anyway, at the end of the day, no matter what type of illusion they want to give you, left or right, they're always going to say only what they want you to hear it. This is the cable TV. And the same thing is going to be with the movies. And now, let's not forget, Hollywood is also controlled by foreign corporations from foreign nations, like, for example, China. Now, there was a movie that I watched a few months ago. It was Red Dawn, the remake of Red Dawn. Did you watch that, Paul?
Yes, yeah, years ago I watched it.
Yeah, that was the original one a few years ago, and then there was one was remake a few years ago. The movie has to be halted because the original version, that was made probably 5 years ago or so, was about China invading America. When China found out that, and they don't like that type of impression given to the people, even technically they own us, they work pretty much with the producer, and they say, no, you can't do that to us. Since China now has a big stake in Hollywood, and they control a good part of Hollywood, the producer of this movie, Red Dawn, it's on the record, it's factual, they had to pretty much reshot some scenes and almost make half of the movie to change completely the logo. No more China, but was North Korea. Yeah. That shows you that Hollywood, it's controlled. And now scary is not just controlled by private bankers or private special interests or by the government, by the way. Let's not forget that many movies that were created with the government intervention, especially after 9/11, but also now by a foreign country like that. They have that type of power. So that's pretty interesting. But let's talk about your movies more. I mean, your documentaries. You have a nice, I like it, your collection is starting. What was your first project that you work on?
Well, my first feature-length film, because I made hundreds of short videos about exposing different things like the Federal Reserve and 9/11 and these kind of topics. But my first feature film was What in the World Are They Spraying with G. Edward Griffin.
Yes, and I watched that, by the way, and I've been giving that video to several people, especially in our community here. I had Representative Sonny Borelli here a few weeks ago, and he took the time to watch the documentary, and I was very pleased. He was able to come back, and he said, wow, I didn't know all these things, and now I put them on the show with Mrs. Rosalind Peterson, and they started to educate him, and hopefully it's going to be our first state legislator in the state of Arizona, and when, in January, when next year it's going to start again, because we have 6 months holiday period here. Now it's come sort of a vacation time for them. Anyway, I'm glad to hopefully have awakened at least one state legislator with a documentary, and more important, we awake a lot of people in our community here thanks to your work just because of that.
Oh, thanks, Luca. I appreciate it.
So, and I always try to remind people, yes, this video is available on YouTube, but there is a lot of work behind it. There's a lot of money invested. I buy original and every time I can. And let's say if you like it, you can get it free on YouTube, or if somebody gave you a copy, you got it for free. If you really think this documentary is saying something important, vital, this is not just about little entertainment. This is about the future of your children, about yourself, your health, your life, the life of our nation, the future of our nation. You think this is the real information that you can verify, and you understand the gravity. I mean, get $20, invest, these people, give them some support, because differently from these bankers, international bankers, the central bankers, that they print money out of thin air and they have limited resources, we try to make it here with a free market. That means we are not like the government putting a gun on your head and say, give me your money so I can give it to somebody else. No, we ask, make a product, and we ask for support. And I'm not ashamed to say, I hope you get successful and you make your money back with profit, because only when you make profit and money back, you can make more movies out there. So we should always support everybody that's trying to do something, especially in the right way, with a good production. I like the quality of your work. I like every detail that you try to put in every production you do. I like the high definition video. I like the audio, the editing. I mean, there's a lot of work here, okay? So, yes, please, go to the website of Mr. Wittenberger, Paul Wittenberger, and Paul, give the website again, please. I want people to know.
If you go to framingtheworld.com, you can see it's basically a link to the store, but you can see all the different productions I've made. And if you could go there and check it out, we're actually making a new film called Fluoride, Poison on Tap.
Yes.
And I'm really passionate about this subject right now, because we just got back from Texas, and we went to the Penco plant. And Penco is, the audience probably doesn't know this, the largest distributor of hydrofluoric acid in the United States.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know that. They think that the controversy is over fluoride in the water, but no one's putting fluoride in the water. The fluoride in your water in 74.6% of all America is the substance hydrofluoric acid. It's an acid. It's a corrosive. And we went to this Penco plant and talked to them, and they said that they're just a distributor of it. They actually get their product from Mosaic. Mosaic ships it to Penco, and then Penco sells it to our city. And Mosaic, if you go to their MSDS sheet, on the substance hydrofluoric acid, it says the health hazards may be corrosive to skin and eyes and mucous membranes, may cause severe irritation and burns, which may not be immediately apparent. Handle with extreme care. I mean, this substance is corrosive. It lists on their sheet that they gave us. It says potential health effects for the eyes, corrosive, for the skin, corrosive, inhalation, corrosive, indigestion, corrosive. It says harmful or fatal if swallowed. I mean, what are we doing putting this substance, hydrofluoric acid, in our water when their own documents that they give out with the substance that they put in says harmful or fatal if swallowed? I mean, people need to wake up and get this out of their city water.
It says that on toothpaste, too.
I know.
Yeah. And
this is crazy.
And Paul, another thing is really amazes me. Not only they are putting this in our water without our consent, they're also charging us, because this is not free, okay? A lot of money behind. We paying as a taxpayer, they're charging us for this poison without our consent. Let's say this was a medication, for example, okay? First of all, who are these people? Who are gods that tell me what type of medication should I get? Number one, we know that it's a fraud, And more important, maybe I don't want their poison, I don't want their medication. I would like just to drink plain water. We have no more control, and that's why, especially if you live in a big city, they want to keep you in that type of state of control. You have pretty much becoming like a lab rat, an experimental test. And we must find the solutions to find a way to defend ourselves. Because let's not forget, beside the physical aspect that this is damage, that, corrosive and all these things, remember, you know very well, better than me, this fluoride has a big influence also on some glands of your brain. And who was the first person to start to experiment on this fluoride on people?
Hitler.
You know that, Michael?
Yes, Adolf Hitler.
You know that, Paul? Are you aware of that in concentration
Yes,
camps?
and it was used in the Russian Gulag.
Yes.
Which is much more documented in the Russian Gulags than in the Nazi prison camps. However, both are true, and both are scary if you think about it.
Yes. And that's my point. People may say, oh, this is just a bunch of crazy things. Guess what? Unfortunately, this is history. It's repeating itself. This is not just about taking care of your teeth or your oral hygiene. Government, trust me, wouldn't care less about if you have a cavity or not. It wouldn't spend billions of dollars in this sort of toxic waste. That's pretty much what it is. It's a residual from factories waste. And no, this is about deeper and deeper.
Yes.
And
This is about control.
Control.
And listen, real quick. I'm sorry. I'm just real passionate about this
Go
right
ahead.
now.
Go ahead, please.
This is the only substance that you put in your water that does not treat the water. It's not to make the water cleaner or make the water more healthy.
Yeah.
It's actually there to treat you.
Yes.
And in 74.6% of all America, I just want to make this clear. This number is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just in Dallas alone, Dallas, Texas, they spend, which is a population of 1.2 million people, they spend $750,000 a year to get this substance, hydrofluoric acid, in the water.
Wow.
Okay, that's just in Dallas. Imagine the money that is going into this when you have that's just one town. But 74% of that's hundreds of millions of dollars every year.
Exactly.
That these companies are making, and this is a sham. It is not good for your teeth. There's no study out there that says that this is good for us.
And that's why I like, Paul, you know why I like your documentary? It is, first of all, information. People must know the problem. And then it's a call to action, because after all, this is not just something happening in Washington, on Mars, or some faraway world. Most of these decisions have been taken locally. I mean, your city council is responsible for this type of attack on your health. And I think everybody that has the opportunity to get information or documentary like that, learn about it, share with friends and family, and more important, start to put it as evidence to your local state elected representative, could be a city councilman or mayor. And then if they still continue with this alleged crime that for me is not alleged anymore, it's there, it's factual, we must start to take action in every way we can according to the law. First of all, removing people from office. Don't you think, Mike, something we should do that?
Yes, I do. I wanted to ask Paul, do the water companies, are they required to disclose that they are using this substance in the water? And what do they actually claim that this is some benefit to the people?
Well, they do claim it's good for you, but yes, they do. Okay, for instance, in Dallas, because I've been doing a lot of research on Dallas right now, they present it in the city council, they always say fluoride. But if you go to the paperwork, it always says hydrofluoric acid, because that's the product they have to buy. When they go to buy this stuff, it's not listed as fluoride. It's called hydrofluoric acid.
Gotcha.
And so when the city councils talk about it, they do say fluoride because that sounds a lot better than an acid.
Yes.
A corrosive acid. And if the people knew that the actual substance was hydrofluoric acid, and that's going into your local water supply, they would be outraged, and this would not happen.
Paul, where do you live in exactly? In which municipality are you living, if I can ask you?
I live in Ventura, and thank God they don't fluoride here.
Wow. And that's, go ahead.
This is one of the few towns in California that don't fluoride, the few counties.
Yes. And I heard San Diego, for example, is completely now under fluoridation, correct?
Yeah. San Diego, after their 65-year battle with it, finally went down. I mean, towns are... people think that this is not a big issue, but every year more and more counties are adding on. I mean, this is a growing epidemic, and the health effects are tremendous. It's a cumulative poison. It's not like it'll kill you right away because they dilute it.
Yes.
But what it does is it makes you complacent. It makes you. It's the perfect thing to use on a population if you want people to just shut up and sit down.
And I always say to the listener, please don't trust what we're saying. Do your research, but do something, because this is so important. If we were really so out of mind here, we're talking about lies, we wouldn't stay one more hour on this show. I said, do your research, and when you find out it's true, you better start to do something. Because as I said, this is not something so far away from your reach. This is happening at local level. Your city, your councilman, your mayor, you can do something. I mean, a few handful of people can organize, start to get your videos, spread them around, get meetings, then go to the council meeting and really create the media awareness, because after all, there is no excuse for this. And I agree, this is one of the most important things. It's the water. We drink it every day. And people say, I don't drink water, I drink beer. Guess what? Where do you think the water from the beer comes from? I'm so paranoid now. I like drinking beer, okay? I always try to find out, for example, where the water is from. I used to like to drink in Guinness, okay? I talk the 800 number. I have them on record. I say, where is you from, this water? Oh, a municipality or somewhere in Ireland. It's okay. Is the water fluoridated? Oh, yes, it is. It's so good for your teeth. And I thought it was a joke. I have it on the phone, this guy. And of course, think about it. I was drinking Guinness beer. I thought it was good. And I didn't realize I was drinking water in the beer that is being, admittedly, and they're proud, fluoridated. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, think about this, people. Like, if the local towns fluoridate their water, then that means that everyone that gets their food or water sources from any of those towns, the food's going to have fluoride, the water's going to have fluoride, the crops are being sprayed with fluoride.
Yes.
I mean, it's in everything. You gotta wake up, people. You gotta find out that what we're saying is true. Then find out if your local town is fluoridating, and if they are, go to the city council, talk to them. The people on the city council are just people like you and I. A lot of them are just stupid,
yes.
And they don't know these things.
Exactly.
And so you need to educate them. It is your responsibility. For the future, literally, of humanity, we need to go and talk to these people and get it out of our water, because that is the number one solution.
Exactly.
I mean, we have to get it out of our water.
Listen, and there's more than fluoride, of course, but this is one of the elements that they're using to control us in complete bondage.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
You couple that with the antidepressants, and you can kind of see why everyone's in such a haze, I mean, that may be one of the reasons why a lot of people are not awake. Their brains have been attacked.
And on top, they keep us separate. Their goal is to create a sort of a phony left to right division, while the real people, the real controllers, they're behind all this. And let me play 1 second here and see if I can get it through. This is just from the news. We were talking about this new world order, and trust me, to create something so completely centralized. Pretty much they say here, Mr. Obama say that you must give away your individual rights. You must give away sovereignty. How do you think can happen this to a nation like America that was founded on individualism and the individual rights? How can people give up all these rights and the sovereignty if it was not some sort of a brainwashing control, starting from, of course, different elements like the school system, television, movies, and now, of course, also food and water and whatever chemical they put in you. Let's listen 1 second to this great, being sarcastic words. Yes, let's see if we can get it through. Okay. Of course, now we have problem with this YouTube. Strangely, it was working before. Okay, I just say, please, people, I will invite you to go to lovegunsfreedom.com. And you will see on today's show, there is a link, June the 1st, and on that page, there is a video that I post there. It's a YouTuber with all these words, all these speeches. They're talking about global government. This is so important, because sometimes people say, okay, what are you talking about? No, you must watch it. So, Paul, let's talk about also other work you've been doing, because you talk the Great Calling was about fluoride. You did about, of course, the geoengineering with what in the world is praying. And then you started to go to topics that I think they are very important, because it's another way these controllers, they try to control us through religion, at least to false religion. I mean, I really enjoyed, for example, the book of Revelation and after the tribulation. Tell me a little bit briefly about those two, because I will have a guest next week. It's Pastor Anderson with me, so we will go in details about that. How did you come
great.
out?
Yeah.
How did you come out with these topics? I mean, something must happen to you. You don't just start to make do a documentary about the different type of interpretation of the Bible. I mean, something very specific, I think, here.
Well, no, I'm only making documentaries that really interest me and topics that really get me excited about. And one of the documentaries that you brought up is called After the Tribulation. I do encourage everyone to go get that film. I guarantee it's nothing that's out there like it. You will have an aha moment. If you're Christian or non-Christian, just go get that film. It's important. And there's a deception out there that says that that's affecting, I would say, the majority of all Christian churches out there. It's called the pre-tribulation rapture. It's a false doctrine that's out there that says that we don't have to do anything. We'll just be going along our lives, and then, we're just going to disappear someday, and we don't have to fight against the evil in this world. We don't have to stand up against corporate corrupt governments. We don't have to do any of that. But the truth is the exact opposite. The Bible is clear. There will be persecution. There will be tribulation. We are going to go through a hard time. It's not going to be roses. The Bible says that there will be a one world government. And we need to wake up and realize that this is a real thing that's happening. And there is an agenda that's out of this world that wants to dominate and control the entire world. It's true.
Yes. And that's also Romans 13. Let's not forget Romans 13 that is being used right now by many controlled government churches. Let's not forget that was the most successful form of control used by Hitler. I mean, you never must revolt against your government. The government is from God. And every time I hear somebody say Romans 13, and I say, wait a second, what would you done if you were under Hitler? Would you supported your government if that was Hitler government? I mean, people don't read their Bibles. People that think that Romans 13 says that we need to obey government no matter what they just have not read. And that's always the problem. Have you not read, the Bible says? And the Bible stands against all these topics. It stands against these big government models. The Bible doesn't want a king, and that's what we have in America. We have a king, and it's just under the disguise of a two-party system. And so, yeah, I made that film. I made another film called New World Order Bible Versions, where it goes into the Romans 13 part. So, yeah, check out that film too. And all these different Bible versions, because literally there are hundreds of different Bible versions just in America alone of the Bible. And all these Bible versions, except for one, the King James Bible, says that we need to obey government no matter what. Yes.
Even if it's under the reign of Hitler or Stalin or like Mao Zedong, we need to just bow down to their feet and grovel at it. But the Bible says the exact opposite. We're supposed to stand up against the evil in this world. And there is an evil in this world. The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Now, we don't wrestle against just regular people out there, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I mean, it's a real thing. And so go out there and get New World Order Bible versions. Support us. I would really...
Perfect. And it's true, it's so important, because see, now it makes all sense. It's like a puzzle, Say, why the fluoride? And now see, why the churches? I mean, they're why the Hollywood propaganda? Why the television propaganda? Why the Common Core propaganda? It's all a way to completely cover every angle to create a new almost human or subhuman species, completely also change in his own DNA, because when you start to have also elements like chemical, GMO food in your system, I mean, you start to create almost like a subspecies, a person that has no more brain to think on his own and is just a good slave. That's what they want. And of course, they need less. It's population reduction. These are a lot of interesting topics. Unfortunately, they are truth. I wish we were here just talking about weather and maybe sports, but we can't. We can't. This is happening right now in history. That's why I tell you, I do everything I can, even if just a little radio show and internet and my music. And every one of us has a way to try to awaken our fellow humans. And at the end of the day, regardless the odds, this is for me like a spiritual battle. We've been given a limited time on this planet. And regardless if we win or lose in this dimension, we have at least trying to stand against evil. And I believe regardless what we do, or we win or not, and we will win. I know that at the end, even many of us maybe perish meanwhile. At least we've been on record. We weren't afraid. We stood for what we thought was right. And that's the most important thing. Talking about music, you know, one of the way I pay my bills, I write songs. And, you know, I put them out also on YouTube because I want to give the chance, especially for the political, or let's say these message songs. You know, I talk topics normally many songwriters don't touch, you know, New World Order, you know, about rights, about tyranny. And I put them also on YouTube. People can listen for free. Also appreciate people can support me, because that's the way, like, you know, you do movie, you create movie, I make music. And I was so happy when you also you have an interest in my songs, and you wanted to start a project. There was like a CD compilation that you just finished to produce. It's called Don't Tread on Us. And please, I'll let you talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we were at, like, when we were in Dallas, they had this little party for us. And at the party, a couple people came up to me and were like, man, that Don't Tread on Us, that was awesome song. I mean, that was awesome CD. We haven't stopped listening to it since we got it in the car. And literally, I am the same way. Ever since I had this CD, I cannot stop listening to it because it's great, Luca. You did such a great job putting all these songs together. And everyone, go to framingtheworld.com and get Don't Tread on Us. It goes through topics like chemtrails or fluoride, Federal Reserve. It talks about all these issues we talked about today. The Second Amendment. I mean, it is an awesome CD that you will love, and you will not be disappointed, I promise.
Yeah, and it's exactly, you know, I like the synergy we are creating, because, you know, I am a songwriter. You create movies, and we do what we can. And yeah, I like to also make, you know, I also create love songs or pop songs. But right now, even I'm just a regular guy, I think it's my duty, and it becomes pretty natural, you know, like a call, okay? Sometimes you want to reach your fellow man, and maybe they don't know. I don't have the time to read the book, but watching a movie is easier. Or listening to a song, especially I'm aware and I'm concerned about the young generation, because the youngest, they're going to be their future. And I believe that's why we got to get them in every way we can, even with the song. And by the way, your project, you know, because this is also your creation. You know, I give you the songs, I license you the song, and you created, I think it was a very great idea, a new packaging with a new compilation format. You put together the work of my several albums, or at least some of the songs on my several albums, and that's great, because in one CD, they can have, the listener, they can have different songs, and normally the people, they have to completely to buy different CDs. You combine in one. And I like the graphic very much. You did a very good job, and I think it's going to be interesting. I hope people can also think about this. You know, that's the way we try to support our activism. This is not, I come down to the radio. For me, it's like a duty almost. I mean, it's my opportunity. It's not a duty. I could today I could stay, you know, go into the range and do other things. Right now, you could stay with your wife, and you're doing this because it's your time, and you're also trying to do our commitment to the cause of freedom. And we don't need to agree on everything, as I said, with people. But when you understand that what we're saying here, it's true. It is not just more about politics, left or right. It's about really the future of humanity as a free human beings. I think this is serious. And sometimes, you know, we waste money in very useless things. You know, you can go to a bar, you can go to a coffee, and spend $10 for nothing. Buy a CD, buy a DVD from Paul Wittenberger. Paul, I really appreciate you today, and I thank you very much for your time. I know you're back from a long week. The last few words to you. You got 30 seconds, Paul.
I just want to encourage everyone to just shut off your television. Everything on there wants to, and I know I keep saying this, wants to sell you a product or a lifestyle. We want to, we need to support people like this, like you and I, that actually are making stuff that matter. And we need to need to learn that these things are bad for us and then fight back and then protect ourselves and our family.
Perfect. Listen, Paul, thank you very much. I'll be in touch with you. And next Sunday, I will have Pastor Anderson on the show.
Oh, great. You guys are going to love him. He's awesome.
Thank you, Paul. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we got a few more seconds for the sponsor, Michael.
Yeah, Colorado River Vapor. We tell you about it every week. If you know someone or if you're trying to quit smoking, go see Tom at either location in Fort Mojave or Bullhead City. They will help you kick the habit. It's a nasty habit. I've got friends and family that go there. They love it. They are treated well there and professionally. It's just a great place to go try to quit smoking. 4400 Highway 95 in Fort Mojave and 1931 Highway 95 in Bullhead City.